start it up again. Okay, we got it. Sorry about that. Dan ever
1776. Adam Smith published The Wealth of Nations. Edward Gibbon published the first volume of the history of the decline of the fall of the Roman Empire.
Excellent.
In late 1775, Jane Austen was born.
Okay,
That's in the author.
Okay, I'm getting everything set up now. Now, Robert, with this one, just remember, it's like before, just say hello, and then welcome everybody, and then go into what you want to talk about, okay? And it should be fine. So when I do the countdown, whenever you're ready, you just come out with your introduction. Try to keep it short for yourself, because I know how hard it is for you to do that. And then after that, just go into a regular conversation. Don't try to complicate it or nothing, okay?
Okay.
You should be fine. You've been around us long enough to kind of get the gist of how things are. We're more laid back, so don't try to be complicated, okay? So don't sound okay?
Okay.
Sound okay?
Okay.
Okay. Sound okay?
Okay.
Okay. Sound okay? What the hell? Am I getting a loop on my voice? Sound okay?
No, not so far as I can see. Where?
It's literally looping.
Yeah, that's the one.
So, I mean, do it. It's literally looping.
Yeah, that's the one.
So. I don't really know exactly what's going on there. I'm going to run it with just my mic so that I can hear. See if it does. Yeah, there we go. That's not. Actually, let's make sure that maybe my kick. No, my kick's unmuted, so that's good. Okay, I've muted that out. It should be fine. It was weird how it did that. So we should be good to go. All right. Actually, I think I put it on the wrong freaking channel again. It's on my main. It's on my main Rumble account rather than on my YouTube.
Okay. Live with you're live with Wood Hanson, infamous G1969.
Yeah.
On YouTube,
which is fine. Which is fine, I guess. This is Robert's show, so it don't really matter which channel I stream mine on. So as long as
it's just a one-off sort of thing. So yeah.
As long as it's on his channel, that's the big deal, you know. So But I think that's more because it's something that he's wanted to do. So it's cool. And plus, I need to get content on my main channel anyhow. So I'm cool with it. Now, let me get the audio visualization thing going. And desktop. Okay, somebody say something.
Well, that would be.
Say something real quick so I can see if it's showing your.
Can you hear me right now? Maybe here.
No, it's not doing it. No, I mean literally, it's. Mark, say something real quick.
Hello, my name is Wonderful Mark.
That is Mark Edwardy. There we go. I see what it was. It was under the media to, like you have to stack them. So say something again.
Mark Edward.
You're muted, Robert.
Yeah, you muted, so yeah, we'll come on.
Okay, so we've got that straight. So now we'll get the window capture set up. Yeah, it's already set up. I don't know what the hell. Okay, there we go. Okay. So now we're good to go. I can go ahead and end this now. We have done our job today. Thanks everybody for watching. We will talk to you.
Good night, Lynn.
Hello, Americans. Coming to you from Great Britain. Fuck you all. We don't care.
Yeah, Great Britain speaking.
250 years, my ass, you bastards. Okay.
250 years. That's nothing. We've been around for at least 1,000 years.
You beat us once, but you beat us twice. Well, yes, 2 times. 2 times, but we are still here.
Yeah, but we're not going anywhere.
Okay. Otto is in chat. He says loop, and then he says the technical difficulty show. So it's
Fall of the Roman Empire.
excellent.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
So we do have it sounds like we have everything set up and ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead. Actually, I need to figure out how I'm gonna do this with the audio because I do have the story set up, and I'm wanting to do the audio for whenever Robert wants to do his thing. Now, if you want, I can do the story, read it out, Robert, and then we can put the songs on the edited video if you want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave that.
You gotta unmute, Robert. Stop. You gotta unmute. Stop being so paranoid about that shit.
Well, yo, that's not a bad idea.
Okay. I mean, it's up to you. Just let me know when you want me to read it, and I can read it.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can read it right now.
That's what. No,
Yeah.
we're not started yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great. Let's have an intro first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me do a countdown. We will get started. Anybody who wants to come on, you're more than welcome to come on and join us. This doesn't necessarily have to be an American thing. If you're from a different country, you're more than welcome to show up too.
Such as,
Exactly.
if you're from a different country, such as Great Britain, as an example.
Right. So we're gonna start this up, and that's Mark.
Oh, okay.
Mark Edworthy. Remember his name. I know you have a hard time.
Okay.
So now you're still unmuted, or you're still muted. So
Yeah. Well, I did. Okay.
I'm gonna do the countdown and hit record, and then you do your introduction and get on with your show. Okay.
All right.
So unmute.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is the U.S. 250th anniversary for independence, 4th of July. Everything about it, how it began, and everything about the history of the 4th of July would be the best way to put it, and how it began, and everything about the fort, how.
You're repeating yourself, Robert.
Okay. Well, and that's we're celebrating the 4th of July birthday and bringing it all new different ways of talking about it and seeing what it's like. Uh, we're going to be having stories.
So you're gonna introduce everybody?
Yeah, introducing Lord
Lord Edworthy.
Lord Edworthy of the Klingon Empire, and my brother Roger Hanson, the mastermind.
I'm just here to read. That's it.
And anyone else that comes in as well. There's okay. And my brother will do the reading of the documents. Okay, here he is.
Well, it's not like a reading of the documents. It's I put
Okay, formal.
now Robert put together some topics he wanted to talk about, so I went ahead and did short stories for it. The first one was the Maryland 4th Regiment. So I wanted to make a short story for the show, and it's called "The Day the Immortal Stood." Here it goes. There are moments in history where nations are not saved by speeches, treaties, or brilliant strategy. They are saved by ordinary men who decide that someone has to stand while everyone else runs. The summer air over Long Island was thick with smoke. The sound of muskets, fire, rolled across the fields as General George Washington watched the impossible unfold before him. Nearly 10,000 British soldiers had closed their trap around the inexperienced American army. Behind the Americans lay only the East River. Ahead stood the finest professional army in the world. There was nowhere left to retreat. If the army died that day, the revolution died with it. Among the exhausted Continental troops stood a regiment from Maryland. These were not frightened farmers clutching muskets for the first time. They were disciplined regular command. They were disciplined regulars commanded by Major Mordecai Gist. They understood exactly what the situation demanded. Someone had to buy time in order to, the order came. 400 Marylanders stepped forward toward nearly 2,000 British soldiers gathered around the old stone house. There would be no miracle, no reinforcements, no glorious victory waited at the end of the charge. Only duty. They advanced once, then again. 6 separate assaults crashed into the British line. Every attack bled the regiment thinner, but every attack stole precious minutes from the enemy. Behind them, Washington's army escaped toward the river. Washington himself watched through his spyglass as the Marylanders disappeared into smoke, mud, and musket fire. According to those with him, he lowered the glass and spoke words history would never forget. Good God, what brave fellows I must this day lose. By sunset, more than half of the regiment lay dead on the battlefield. 256 men had given everything they possessed. Their sacrifice was not a victory measured in captured ground or enemy casualties. It was measured in the lives of thousands of fellow soldiers who crossed the East River that night and lived to fight another day. The revolution survived because they refused to retreat. History remembers them today as the Maryland 400, though many have long called them something even more fitting, the Immortals. Not because they could not die, but because what they did could never be forgotten. Sometimes freedom hangs by a single thread. On that August day in 1776, 400 men became that thread. No, the Maryland 400, the elite immortals of the Revolution, they saved the entire American army from annihilation. The day legends were born. The sitting battle of Brooklyn, August the 27th, 1766, will be the next story. So that's the end of that one, and I will read that one after we have a conversation, I guess. So that's the first one. That's it. You gonna talk now, Robert?
Yeah. Well, because it was just the idea that you look at, they've all done more than enough. They did not wait for what other places were passing their thing. They're the laws that had to affect them in their way, where they was getting pushed on to them, like they had no rights to speak their minds in any form or fashion, where the King of England would speak them down if they speak their minds in any form or fashion. And where because the law says whatever that they so choose, other groups will have to obey by what the king says. And that for to get their word across, they had only to do certain things to make it clear to anyone that decides to tread on anyone's rights within this country for what they would want, and the constitution of the government, for the government as well. Where when they would pop up and like what happened over in what happened over in I forget what to call it, where they dump all the tea in the off the boats in New York. Okay, that was like tea.
Yeah, that was the Boston Tea Party, right?
Yeah, Boston Tea Party.
And you said the Constitution was for the government. It's actually for the people.
No. Well, what I was referring to is the government of the people, for the people.
Mm-hmm.
And where when people would go over, try to dictate on the whole promises of that law of what the government.
Well, I mean, you had a good story there, and like you're not even like discussing that. You're talking about like the Boston Tea Party and stuff like that.
Well,
that was actually a pretty respectable story. I mean, when I ended up doing that for you, I was like, that's a pretty good pick. I was really glad that you brought that up, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think more of what that is it's more focused towards the militia rather than a lot of the like the Boston Tea Party. That was
Well, yeah.
that was just straight up freaking American propaganda, dude. Like
Well, okay.
nobody really
No.
cared about the tea. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah. Well, it was
And
just
also the Constitution was written for another 11 years anyway,
Yeah, right.
until
I mean,
1787. So,
like
yeah.
it was the Articles of Confederacy that was the first it's the first thing we had, and then that ended up failing. So
and like when they would talk about, and they set it up to where we did not want where our church dictated as well in any form or fashion on how our government would work. Where, because in England, the church dictated on how things were. If not things didn't go the church's way, they make it very hard on the people who didn't disagree with the church. And
Not quite true, because from Henry VIII's time, the church, the monarch was the head of the church. Therefore, it wasn't actually the church dictating; it was the monarch through its representative government.
yeah, it's like the government was the church, is what he's saying,
Yeah.
Robert. It's like and it's like
okay.
it's
Yeah.
now the thing that with the separation of church and state, and that's been a big debate too, because even though it's implied, a lot of people say that that's not the truth, but I
Well,
Interesting. We having the same sort of conversations in Britain at this present moment, sort of.
but when we had that thing about the thing, they were asking what type of people will we will accept in Congress, and they looked and said, we do not want I forget what they call, but if they were in the church, they did not want them to be anywhere part of the government. I forget the part of it, but they made that to a point about that because they did not want.
you've got to be careful about what you listen to on the media, because I mean there's a lot of people just spreading a whole bunch of garbage.
I was going to say, even though the US has always technically been a fairly Protestant country anyway,
They were what?
has been a very sort of Christian, more than Protestant, a very Christian country anyway.
Well, yeah, they based their laws on it. They did.
No,
Like,
they don't. They don't base their laws on Christianity. See, people who are in government, they can have a religion or not have a religion. That's the whole thing that makes Constitution, the separation of church from state, important, because you can't enforce Christian laws. Like, you can't tell people that freaking in order for you to be in the United States, you have to be a Christian or you're not allowed here. We don't do that.
No, but I'm talking about more fundamental laws, like those I shall not kill, thou shall not murder.
yeah,
thou
that's
shall
what I'm
not
referring to. Because
covet
we do
neighbours
have
off or something. That sort of thing.
we do have them laws, and they do follow in the book, but where when that same thing is where when other places don't believe into that, that's when the problems arises from it. You know.
Okay, a better argument would be that like Britain, the US has got a fairly Christian culture
What country is that?
rather than laws per se.
Well, because because a lot of places they they hear of that, and they make it to where make their part of their religion into somewhere like that, where they can say, "Well, we were gonna follow what you say, but this is our religion as well. How we believe in certain things as well, the laws of our country."
Well, Robert, I mean,
Conflict, what I'm saying.
well, to be honest, I think when it comes to the Constitution, you're like way off, and you don't really understand what the Constitution is saying about religion, and this includes Christians. Okay, in the First Amendment, especially in the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause, it says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So that means our government has not got any rights whatsoever to to respect any established religion, and they don't have any right to prohibit a person from exercising any religion that they have at the same time.
And just to clarify that, respect any specific religion.
Right.
I mean, you can respect all religions.
You can go.
yeah.
You can go and believe in. You can go to any church you want to. You can go to believe in any religion you want to. It's just when it comes to government and stuff like that, you are not allowed to push your beliefs onto the American people.
Even though previous presidents, including the current one, have vocalized their own Christian beliefs, whilst being, president, whilst being in that office.
Well, I mean, I could also say the same thing in respect to forcing.
But England, Britain has got a longer sort of Christian sort of relationship with. We don't have the sort of state and church separation as you do.
I could say the same thing though when it comes to like our country forcing its children to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance facing the flag too. That's completely unacceptable. That's not even a part of frickin' actual constitutional government or anything like
that.
That's more
50s.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And people today honestly think that that's the way it's always been, and the reason for that is because they watched Little House on the Prairie. You know what I mean? And on Little House on the Prairie, all those good little freaking school kids with the school marm was sitting there, and they stood up and they said the Pledge of Allegiance, and the American flag was sitting over there in the corner, and everybody just believed that's the way it was. And the truth is that never happened in those days at all. You know.
I mean, what's the old joke? The old joke about being a U.S. citizen, you believe in God, country, and apple pie.
Yeah.
Well, that is true though. God, country, and apple pie, especially apple pies. You know.
Well, during that time, they were like special groups and all that was fighting against them and all that, and losing, and like at winter time and all that, they really did hit it hard because a lot of them, the freezing, their toes were falling off, their feet would turn black from the cold, and they were just barely getting by. And their health wasn't all that good. They were dying from bacteria and all that because everybody was getting sick and all that. And the food that the farmers were having problems with keeping that up and all that because when the other group. They would get the food as well. Take it. They would. I mean, when they would run out, what I'm saying, they would send an extra group to the other town to see what's going on. And if there's not too much going on there, and if there were food supplies, the caravan, they was low, they would get that food, and they would hear and where when people would hear them coming, they would torch their homes, destroy all things they did before that would help out.
Are you talking about the British whenever they would?
Yeah, when British was in the
Yeah,
U.S.
the British
Yeah.
and they would well that was actually happening. Now
Yeah,
that was they
So,
were
sorry, I was just thinking of similar situations when both France under Napoleon entered Russia, and then later when Germany under Hitler entered Russia, or retreated from Russia, should I say? Where the Russians would do similar sort of thing, and um, the logistics wasn't there for the, in first place, the French and later the Germans not being able to feed a large amount of their own troops.
yeah. And they were doing that thing about medicines as well too, because they had found out that a lot of places their own was getting sick from it.
let me also put something in here too, because this is a perfect place to say this, and I think a lot of people who have are over patriotic, they don't realize like the Revolutionary War was not pretty. Okay, everybody looks at Vietnam and they say Vietnam was horrible and a lot of bloodshed, and they don't understand it was the same way in the Revolutionary War too. You know what I mean?
Oh, the bloody.
Yeah, I mean you know, when you look at that war, you have to stop painting it with this patriotic, you know, loyal thing where all the troops stood in line and they just loaded their muskets and
they were all smiling, and then every single shot hits the opponent. Yeah, did happen.
and see none of them crossed the line. They just stood there and they just waited until they were shot. You know, I mean, and people honestly do believe that. Like they believe that every soldier stood in line and then loaded their muskets and just freaking fired and then got down on their knee and that's all they did.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people that do believe that.
Romanticism of war.
How you doing, sir?
Gentlemen,
Tan Hot Tran. Welcome.
happy Independence Day.
Same.
Thank you.
Indeed. Well.
Canada's part of the Independence Day thing, because you know, like they said, they came from Canada into the U.S. during that for the Cuba.
Well, it was
discrimination.
no, that was actually the other way around. We sent them to Canada.
Well,
Actually, arguably, how many Canadians actually joined the American forces?
none that I know of, because they were part of the Russian group.
Well, the Canadians, the ones who were here from the United States were actually the loyalists, and after the war.
Well, this before the United States, but I was thinking on the same concept as how many Germans joined British.
Yeah, there was it was three. I think it was 3 to 4 different countries was part of it, because they had over. I think they said was over 300 ships full of military and supplies and all that in all those ships.
You know
when they
what?
came back.
You know what though? I have always wondered, and I've never heard anybody bring this up. But was Canada actually like an established country with its own government before the Revolutionary War, or was it the actual loyalists that moved to Canada and created their own government?
No, it was still it was still a British colony.
The Revolutionary War was in the 1700s.
Yeah.
Canada was a country in 1867.
Yeah.
Oh, part of they were part of the U.S.
They were part of the
UN?
UK. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they were part of the thing of where when the UK came over, they went through Canada. Because I'm going
No,
by.
what basically happened was is like after the Revolutionary War, the people who were the loyalists here actually were exiled from the United States and had to move to Canada. Like they were literally kicked out and told you're not allowed to be here anymore. You see what I mean?
But yeah, didn't the Americans try to take over some of the future Canadian lands as part of that war?
I know about that War of 1812. Whenever people talk about the burning of Washington, D.C., that actually started because some of the Americans here in the United States went up into Canada and burned down one of the government buildings there, and they've retaliated from it. And that's why.
Yeah.
That's
They got in Canada, they got one of them stockade, the big military places there that hold over 300 Canadian troops in there. And
who burned who? I thought the Americans burned down the Parliament building in Canada, in Toronto, in York, where it was used to call York, way back when.
Well, I just knew of they had that big scrimmage at that one military complex they built in on the border of Canada, and the U.S. Some of the government went up there and they had two big old skirmish that they did between Canada and the U.S. military, or not military, but the groups.
Battle of Queenston Heights, 1812. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, well, technically, that would be in the US at the time. I was just thinking about when you said the UK. I was just trying to remember when Scotland became part of the Union, but that was 1707. But Ireland wasn't a part of UK as yet. That wasn't until.
I think it was 1998 when they gave them an axiom. Do they want to be part of their own country?
Sorry, no, Ireland, 1800, the Act of Union, 1801.
well, now
the British was in Canada way.
Yeah, sorry, it would be
way
British,
back when. Yeah.
or English, Scottish.
I wanted to clear that up for you, Robert, what Mark is talking about there. He's not talking about whenever Ireland left the UK. He's talking about whenever Ireland joined the UK. That was back in the 1800s.
They didn't have no choice when the king died.
Listen, yeah, you're not listening.
No, at the time of the Civil War, Ireland
was not a part of the UK.
Even or what we know now as the Republic wasn't a part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Okay, but, at that time.
When Ireland king died, when was that?
King.
Yeah, King of Ireland. Where when the UK took over.
No, that was on Braveheart. That's not. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as the King of Ireland, dude. Like Ireland is its own universe.
Yeah, but who was in charge during that time?
What time?
1800s.
No, it was in the 1700s too, because it was a thing that they were saying that
Ireland was separate sort of provinces. There wasn't a single island as a country. Well, as a unified country.
They were talking like there was a person that.
Yeah, there was no such. Arguably, I would argue that there's never been a unified Ireland.
Okay, because I was.
No. To be honest with you, I'm almost betting that you're confusing Ireland with Scotland. To be honest.
Scotland?
Yeah, I would almost bet you're confusing Scotland with Ireland because I do that. I do that sometimes too because like it's really not really something that should be that Like, you shouldn't confuse the two. Don't get me, you know what I mean? But I do it sometimes, like the stories. But I would almost guarantee you're referring to Scotland more than you are Ireland, because Scotland did have a king. And actually, I find it weird that freaking what's her name, Mary. She was the one who actually was supposed to have the rightful place on the throne with Victoria. You know, because she was the true heir when it comes to the lineage. You know, a lot of people don't know that, but
Okay. I just remember they were talking about that in history about why they were having fights against each other. The two, fight for because when one would come, they came in and took and they wanted independence. They didn't want the UK or however.
Technically, the last monarch was Queen Anne. It was the monarch, the independent monarch of Scotland, was dissolved the Act of Union in 1707.
During that time when all this was going on, that they were a lot of the people, the farmers, and they got into where this one group too was real good at what they were doing and fighting, and where when they needed the thing doing with the muskets, they were so good at hunting and all that. Like they were like sharpshooters during that time. They were this one group was, and I guess they were there, what they would call special forces back then, because they brought it up that where when there were situations and all that they had to use, they would have them come there. They would travel to spot by orders and all that. And during that time, the secret tree, the one that all the military, when they get separated, would go meet up at this one specific tree here in the U.S. This tree is just as old as anything else. It's part of the history of the U.S. because any point in time when any fractions or anything that does go, everybody would head for this one specific area, where this one tree is, and would meet up with other parts of the government, military, and that's where they would go. And the tree finally got passed away, died, and this tree has supported the music industry with special wood from this tree, and the instruments are worth in the process $2,000. The guitars are, and other parts. They use it for wide varieties of musical in it. But this one spot it's like a like a national park where you can't go there. People can't go there and mess with anything up there because it's a like the bird, national bird. If anyone gets caught hurting that bird or on that property, that they get prosecuted for, because they don't want, because there was a thing of where everybody knew where to go to meet up, and it was a secret place where all the government or all the military would know where to go to meet up with the rest of the other.
Okay, hold on. You're like really blowing that way out of proportion. Okay, the tree is metaphorical. Okay.
Well, no,
let me do this because you're like really blowing this way out. Okay. Let me tell you what it is. It's called the Liberty Tree.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a local militia rallying point, and they There was no actual tree where everybody ran to meet up. They called it the Liberty Tree, and that was just a location where the militia knew that they needed to meet up if things went bad. So they called it the Liberty Tree, and that is actually true. So that's something that I wanted to point out. I'll let you keep telling the story and stuff so you can tell it, but just wanted to clear that up so that.
But during that time, the tree was so.
No, there is no tree, Robert.
Well,
I don't know who told you that, but
it was on the news about that when the tree passed away, they had to finally cut it the rest of the way down, and they didn't want to get rid of the wood, so they had it processed and all that, and they made make instruments from it, the guitar.
Okay, I see where this is going. Was there was no actual tree. Later on, there could have been tree used as a sort of symbolic gesture.
Well, this tree, it stood there for good over 200. This tree was that old. The rings on it, it registers up to like over 200. I mean, like if you take your house, okay, just imagine the round of your house is about the size of this tree. It was I can't think of the type of tree it was, but it was a big old round. I mean, the size, like if you was to take well, I guess like a 50. If your house is like 90 foot long and like 50 across, about like that around. That's how big around that tree was.
okay, I pulled it up for you. And what you're talking about is the Annapolis Liberty Tree, which was the very last surviving member of the original 13 Revolutionary War Liberty trees.
The elm tree, based in Boston. Yeah.
So after it died and had to be taken down, its wood was purchased and crafted into the famous line of highly collectible limited edition acoustic guitars. That's the last of the Liberty trees.
Mm-hmm. And they were having problems that people were going there because it was like a landmark, and people were going there getting bark and all that, and the people telling them that you just can't go around doing that to the tree.
I think I know where you're coming from when you're talking about making musical instruments. You're talking about the Annapolis Liberty Tree at St. John College in Maryland. Was and after Hurricane Floyd in 1999, the wood was used to craft limited edition guitars.
Yeah,
I think you're talking about.
Well, to be fair, I that's probably more propaganda than anything else. I'm sorry to say that, because you know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden there's like a tree there. I've heard of the whole metaphor behind the Liberty Tree. Like what was that one? Actually, it was that movie they came out with about the militia with what's his face off of Mad Max.
Okay. Yeah, him and the son.
Yeah.
Right. Also, the tree of liberty was a metaphor during the French Revolution as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a symbol.
It was more of a symbol. So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, like 13 Liberty trees. I've never even heard about it until now. All of a sudden, you know. So I'll check into it some more and stuff. But
But they were doing the thing of and like during the time where they were having problems with the railroad, that weather and all that, where you could pop up knock out the tracks. You know, remove the
Okay,
the things, and they
railroad.
were stacking them up on the poles.
Robert, you have completely just lost your mind. There was no
I think
railroad
you are.
tracks in the
Yeah, the railroad didn't happen for at least another 100 years in the US.
1800s.
Oh, okay.
I mean, where are you
Okay,
coming
yeah,
at?
you're right. You're right. I got it wrong. Okay, yeah.
You are nut,
Yeah.
dude.
But they were doing the thing of medical and all that because they were having all that. They were when they would come across shoes and all that. I guess they were they would get them from um, the from the UK groups and all that because they were winding up with no shoes and all that and going long distance. They were just having all sorts of problems with food and medical. But they were showing that they would send groups ahead to other towns, and they would burn the towns. The people that lived there to make sure that none of the food supplies or animal they would kill the animals as well because they knew that they couldn't outrun them. So they killed off the animals and burnt the food to where they wouldn't. But then they would leave the area.
Mhm. That's common. That's quite common in most wars.
Yeah.
The 18th, 19th, early 20th century.
Yeah, like in New York, it's TOWN night 1781. I think it's about the time that there was a thing happened there in New York, and they were um, it was a big group. They sent other people there to check out and all that, and everyone was telling them how they go through their the weapons and all that, the little tanks, and they got all muddy and all that. They did, and they were having problems getting them out of the mud and all that, and it took them even longer than they thought. And the food ran out quicker.
Yeah.
So did the medicines, and they had to send a few groups of theirs up in there to find out what is the next town and what's there as. And they and there was that group where they were good at shooting. They could hit a dime on the head with a bullet with one, and they were there, and they helped kept them back for a while, let the people get away before the bigger group came in.
Okay, I'm just doing some more research on this Liberty Tree then. You were partially correct. Thomas Paine, English-born American author, circa 1737 to 1809, wrote. Is well known for writing a pamphlet in 1776 called Common Sense, which made the case for declaring independence from Britain. In this pamphlet or ballad, as I suppose, in a ballad written in 1775, Paine memorized a famous 130-year-old elm tree that stood near the Boston Common, and which was used at one point by defiant colonists to demonstrate their discontent for British rule, and the tree was cut down by the British in 1775. So you were partially
Okay.
Right.
All right. I didn't know that. That was okay.
Hmm.
And but like they were saying about the groups and all that, and that they were during that time as well that that like Dick. Oh, well, they had to watch out because they realized who they were having problems with security, and they found out later on. What do you call that? Where here in the U.S., young kids get to go to that military school. Well, he made a deal with England about getting it, and they found out later on it was big Benedict honored. I know I can't. I'm not saying it right, but you know who?
Benedict Arnold.
Yeah, he was the one that betrayed the school and told the UK about secrets that the US had planned, and it went for quite a while until some way or another, it got busted. The story got leaked out on who it was, and there and that that one I can't. But he during that time he did all that. He got by with quite a bit. He made a deal with England things. Can't you think of that school? But the one that here in the U.S. it's real big for
Yeah,
young
I know.
adults.
It's
Gets
the
into the military.
military academy.
Yeah, military.
West something.
West
isn't
Point.
it?
Yeah,
West Point. Yeah.
yeah. He betrayed. He told them about what West Point was at and all. Well, he mentioned that and a few other things, and they was wondering how did the English knew about them, about West Point and all that, because I guess it was brought up on some paperwork or something, and the what you call them guys that goes back and forth delivering messages.
Careers. Messengers. Careers.
Yeah,
Actually, it couldn't be West Point because West Point was founded in 1802.
he,
Oh, actually, no. The site initially served as a strategic Revolutionary War fort in 1778 before becoming a college or academy in 1802. So, yeah, okay.
yeah. I just knew that during that time that them two went together because they brought that up about West Point and him as well and they I forget how they all found out about whatever happened, how they found out about him being the one that was leaking the information. But they were having them during that time. They were using them horses, and they were losing horses as well because of the mud and all that, and them little cannons that they were using during the war and all that.
So
they
so
were
by by any chance did Robert like calm down or anything? Because like I had to go smoke a cigarette.
Actually, yeah, he was talking about the precursor to West Point, which was a fort at the time. And actually, he wasn't too far off. I don't know if you heard my mentioning of Thomas Paine.
Yeah, you mentioned it to me
As far
before.
as the Liberty Tree is concerned.
Now I can pull off like the window capture here so that I can do research into that and dig into more if you guys want that.
Okay.
I also wanted to fill everybody in that here in our area, our 4th of July might actually be ruined because of the weather. So,
Oh, no.
yeah.
I'll give you a website that talks about Thomas Paine and a poem they made about Liberty Tree in our elements chart. So you can have a quick, so you can do some further research yourself.
Sounds like a plan. Because it's like I said, I've heard of the Liberty Bell and stuff like that, but it's like this is the first time I've even heard of the Liberty trees.
Yeah, they brought that up on the thing about, because that was the last one, and they were using that for that to where, and I guess someone came up with that idea about guitars and that, and they decided to do it that way.
It makes sense because like folk music, that kind of thing, you know, when it comes to patriotism.
You know, how does the oh boy, the Liberty Bell comes in? The Liberty Bell, when was it made, and how does it come into play as the part of the?
I'm not so sure, but it's quite well. I would think Roger should be able to.
Yeah, I can find it. It's just well, the thing of it is it's like Robert wanted me to use all these notes and stuff, so I pulled up like everything he's talking about right now has absolutely nothing to do with what he wanted as topics. Again, like he always does this to me. Now he's like talking about other stuff that I got to search, and he does this to me every single time he wants to do a show.
Yeah,
He's got all these cool freaking ideas, and then
keep you on your toes.
so I'm just gonna ask the search thing to tell me about the Liberty Bell and see what it says.
Yeah, and go from there.
Tell me about the Liberty Bell. The Liberty Bell is one of the most famous symbols in American freedom, independence, and civil rights. Originally cast to commemorate the 50-year anniversary of William Penn's 1907 or 1701 Charter of Privileges. It later became a powerful icon for both the abolition of slavery and the women's suffrage movement. Today,
So we're talking about late 19th century, early 20th. Yeah, late 19th, early 20th. So we're talking at least a good 100 years after.
well, I mean,
independence.
it was actually 50 years after 1701. So originally, it was cast to commemorate the 50-year anniversary of William Penn's 1701 Charter of Privileges.
What is privileges, or what? I mean, like what is it?
The privileges in this context would be free men, free people, landowners.
1701. So let me go ahead and run a check on that one too. His 1701 Charter of Privileges. Now, the 1701 Charter of Privileges was the final constitution for the colony of Pennsylvania issued by its founder, William Penn. It is widely considered one of the most radical and advanced documents of its time, fundamentally shaping early American democracy and directly influencing the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. Penn granted the charter to appease colonists who were frustrated by the absolute proprietorship and demanded more political power. It operated as Pennsylvania's supreme law for 75 years until the American Revolution. And then the first one is freedom of religion. That was the first privilege. The most revolutionary part of the charter was an absolute guarantee of religious freedom for anyone who believed in God. Unlike other colonies, Pennsylvania did not establish an official state church. Penn made this clause unilateral, meaning future governments could never vote to take away a citizen's right to worship freely.
Okay, presumably at that time, even though there wasn't a state church, there was only in reality one church in the area.
Well, according to them, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, the Puritans are,
Yeah. So they didn't really need to establish a state church because there was only one religion there.
well, it goes back to what I was saying about the First Amendment too. Like, you know what I mean? And this is probably where all that started, was because they were getting tired of being controlled by the church through government. You know what I mean? It was like, usually people saw government and church as one and the same thing before constitutional government. It's like they didn't differentiate the two. You know what I mean? And that was pretty much how all of them were. Even England, because the Church of England was established by, Henry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I know this is a very arguable point at this present moment, especially with a recent issue with King Charles III. But the monarch is the head of the Church of England and the so-called defender of the faith.
Oh, what?
The defender of the faith.
What is that?
The Church of England.
Well, what faith?
The faith.
Of Christian faith.
Defender of the faith.
Yeah,
Cool.
I know that's a very controversial point at this present moment, especially with how a certain document was written. Was it the royal household budgetary document was written and published within the last couple of weeks. There was a lot of criticism about it was written in such a way to suggest that the monarch is a defender of all faiths.
Well, see, the whole thing about it is, and like people who aren't into history don't understand this, is it's like kingdom, kingdomdom, or however they say it. That was developed with the understanding that your king was the freaking person who represented God. Like God gave him he gave the king things that he didn't give the average person. You know what I'm saying?
True. Prior to Henry VIII, because kingdomship between at least 6th century AD to Henry VIII. It was the Pope that installed the king.
This goes all the way back even to
Yeah.
like Assyria.
So basically, just
Like
an
is
argument.
the Assyrians
The
believe
Pope
that.
installed the king? Mm.
Well, technically speaking, yeah.
During that time.
The monarch was answerable to, or in Britain, the monarch, well, in Europe, monarchs were answerable to the Pope.
What time was that?
No, that would be the holy. No,
This would be up to the Reformation.
well,
and
you need to
Reformation.
understand. Okay, who is the one who started the Holy Roman Church? Okay, it wasn't. No. As a matter of fact, like when it comes to the Holy Roman Empire, what's his name? He starts with the C. He was the French guy.
Oh, French guy.
Yeah, wasn't he French? He's the one that started the Holy Roman Empire, and well, actually, it was Hungary or Austria or something like that. Hungary and
I
Austria.
see. You're talking about something else. Okay, all right.
He was the one that actually was the first person to be considered the Holy Roman Emperor. He seized Rome. I forgot his.
Charlemagne. That's what you're talking about, right?
Who is it?
Charlemagne.
Charlemagne. Yes. See, Charlemagne was actually the one who was in charge, and then everybody who was his successors were the ones after him. So it wasn't the Holy Roman.
If you're going by doctrine, then it's in St. Peter.
It is, but this is just something Charlemagne came up with, the Holy Roman Empire.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking St. Peter.
Yeah.
Around AD 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when was it that the two started merging? The king and the church started working together.
Oh, that's always been. That's what I was trying to say. That's always been.
That's why I said at
okay.
least from the 6th century.
Okay, cool.
Very early, yeah.
So like basically what I'm saying is like this whole thing with constitutional government, no matter which country it is, it's relatively new. Like when it comes to the king and God, like king and God was one and the same. You know what I mean?
Well, that's arguable if you look at it from pre-Reformation.
Well, I mean, look at ancient history too. Like the Assyrians, I mean, they were the same.
Okay,
yeah.
So I'm looking at it from a very European perspective.
Yeah, no, you should stop doing that. That's real. That's modern Western society kind of philosophy.
Fair enough.
So it's like,
but even though the Church of England is represented in the House of Lords, in the UK, in Great Britain.
well, I know when we were talking about the UK. Well, no, it was actually like 3 years ago. We were talking about Ireland and like how the church. No, it was the royal family. Actually, they had their like church affiliated with like the orphanages and stuff in Ireland. Remember that? Like they were the ones.
Interestingly, it's the Church of England in the House of Lords that's stalling the euthanasia, the elderly long-term ill bill, the euthanasia bill.
Well,
course,
I forget the group. That was during this. It was a big military group of blacks was fighting for independence during that time too. Well, no, you're right. I got it screwed up again.
Which one? What was it?
Um, um, about I got for during the time where the blacks were in working with the blue coats.
Oh,
Were,
okay. Yeah, hold up. I know what you're talking about now. What happened was is when the Revolutionary War was taking place, the English had promised freedom to the blacks here in the United States if they fought for the English. Now, what happened was is that when the war was coming to an end, um, the Navy, the British Navy, was leaving the ports. I think it might have been in Boston. But when they were leaving, freaking, they said that a lot of the black slaves that they had promised freedom to was literally swimming out to try to board the ships because they had left them behind. And there were stories about that.
I'm just finding amusing that you calling it the United States. At the present time, it was in the United States.
Well, I mean, it was the moment.
But, yeah, I know
the
you're
moment
using
we
that as a joke,
the
but,
moment
yeah.
we drove your wretched forces from our land, we became the United States. You wretched man, you wretched Englishman, Lord Edward.
Don't believe
Yep.
it. I wasn't
Canada
there.
and
It's like the blacks are now punishing all the children of the white for slavery.
Yeah.
Well, I did find that pretty interesting. That was something I found out a while back. I forgot what it, but it was. I remember hearing about. I hadn't pulled it all up. It's like I said, Robert comes up with all these cool ideas that he never uses in the stream, and I'm probably gonna have to freaking pull that up to get the information for that too. So I'll be back.
But yeah, they were showing that about they were having, and they still during the same amount of time still couldn't get the whites to accept them, even in the blue coats, because they with their own way of looking at it, for they just couldn't. They were fighting for to help them, but they were just thinking of, well, who knows what they think, but they just didn't like the idea. And here that they were fighting for independence just as well too, for what they want. They were thinking of it as well.
Wait, correct me, Robert, and Roger, but he's away. How far away was the American Civil War from the Revolutionary War? You guys,
I don't know. You have to ask Roger about that.
1865. 1865.
the Civil War?
1776 to 1860.
Oh, I think
1860, wasn't it?
I think it was. I'm not
So
sure
we're
about
talking about a good 100.
1781.
1781 was the Revolutionary War, wasn't it? Wait, which one?
Yeah,
which,
the war for the Civil War was in 1860, I believe, 1860 to
So we're
1865.
talking a very good,
Okay.
100 years.
Civil War is
1861.
18, and then the Revolutionary was 1700. So like 100 years apart.
There
So
was
you guys pushed
If we
you guys pushed the British out, and then you got bored. There's nobody to fight, so you start fighting each other.
Well, there's a story. There's actually a story in that though, because the thing of it was is first we started out with the Articles of Confederation, okay, and what happened is the Constitution took its place. Now, with the Constitution helps in some ways, but it also is geared towards people when it comes to landowners. Okay. Now, a lot of the issues between class differences didn't actually change until Andrew Jackson. Like, a lot of people don't realize that the average poor person didn't have the right to vote either. It wasn't just black people and slaves, it was poor people.
Even in Britain and most modern or Western countries,
But if
the concept of a free man, the landowner, only being able to vote, it's a relatively new. The concept of everybody being able to vote is a relatively new thing. We're only talking about 100, 120, 150 years maybe at the max.
Now, I do have the information if you guys want to hear it on the black slaves and the Revolutionary War. So, you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says the promise of freedom by the British to enslaved black Americans during the Revolutionary War and the subsequent heartbreaking reality of their evacuation is one of the most tragic and complicated chapters in American history. The British did not act out of humanitarian abolitionism, but rather out of military strategy. They realized they could simultaneously cripple the southern plantation economy and swell their own military ranks by liberating the workforce of the American patriots. Two major decrees drove the massive wave of self-emancipation.
I want to just contradict you there. How can those people be American patriots? They joined.
Two major British decrees. This was the British that were trying to do this. Now, the two major British decrees drove the massive wave of self-emancipation. That was the Lord Dunmar's proclamation in 1775, where the royal government of Virginia promised freedom to any enslaved person owned by a patriot rebel who was willing to and able to bear arms for the king. This led to the creation of the famous all-black Ethiopian Regiment. And then there was the Phillipsburg Proclamation in 1779, where the British commander Sir Henry Clinton expanded this policy massively. He declared that any enslaved person escaping a patriot master would receive full freedom and protection behind British lines without needing to fight. They could work as laborers, cooks, blacksmiths, or nurses.
Technically, it wasn't freedom. The definition of freedom at the time was being able to own land. If you didn't own land, therefore you weren't free.
Well, that would be a problem because there wasn't people that didn't own land, but there was no slaves.
But the idea of just saying, here you go, you're free now, and they didn't own land, technically that's not freedom.
Yeah, but back then they had that thing of, I don't know, I've heard, but they took land from the blacks and and give it over to the white people, and if you have if you were mixed.
Well, I have the second part to that if you guys want to hear it.
Okay.
So the heartbreak at the docks. When the British lost the war, they were forced to evacuate major southern ports to like Savannah and Charleston. Chaos ensued as thousands of black loyalists who had faithfully served the crown rushed to the wharfs, terrified of being captured and re-enslaved by the victorious Americans. The the specific incident of people swimming after the ships occurred during the evacuation of Charleston on December the 14th, 1782. The British assembled over 130 ships to evacuate their troops with loyalists, or their troops, white loyalists, and thousands of black refugees. Because ship space and food supplies were critically low, British commanders faced a logistical crisis to prioritize their own soldiers and the wealthy white loyalists, who often brought their own slaves with them. The British military began barring many of the promised black loyalists from boarding the rescue vessels. Swimming for liberty. As the massive royal ships left anchor and began drifting away from the Gadsden Wharf into the harbor, hundreds of desperate, abandoned black men, women, and children panicked. They leaped into the freezing water of the Atlantic and clung to the side of the rowboats and the rudder of the moving ships, begging to be pulled aboard. Historical.
It makes sense. Sorry, I was going to say it just makes sense to abandon them, because either you abandon them and you have enough resources to get back to Britain, or the entire ship starves.
Well, it gets even worse. This is how wretched the English were. Okay, because it goes, historical accounts from British officers and witnesses reveal a horrific scene. To keep their overcrowded rowboats from capsizing, British soldiers took out their cutlasses and chopped off the fingers and hands of desperate swimmers clinging to the boats, leaving them to drown in the harbor. Other refugees who managed to swim out to smaller islands in Charleston Harbor in hopes of being picked up later were simply left behind. Hundreds died of starvation, exposure, and disease on those islands, while others were rounded up by returning American forces and forced back into brutal bondage. You horrible,
as
horrible
far
English.
as cutting off the fingers and limbs, that makes total sense. Either you stop them from attempting to board, or your boats collapse. And I know if I was a captain of a ship or a captain of a boat, I know what I would prefer to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised that during that time that the English wasn't watching, because when they made promises to the Indians.
Well, you got to understand, Robert, this is brutality. Like it was, I just said it a little while ago. I mean, people need to take and get rid of this whole patriotic viewpoint that they have of the Revolutionary
It was a matter
War.
of survival rather than patriotic.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the making treaties with the Indians, remember previous to the Revolution, there was the French British war in America, the Indian British America.
Which by the way, George Washington was a freaking he was actually I forgot what his rank was. I don't think he was a general.
There's plenty of stories about. I think it was the Sioux that were involved in taking sides with both British and French, depending on whereabouts in war.
I don't know exactly the whole thing of it. I know that, like, what really got me curious about a lot of that was George Washington's involvement with that whole war, because, like, he was a surveyor. He used to go out and survey territory, and that got him caught up into the military, and then he served for the Royal for the Royal Forces back during that war, and they said that he was pretty vicious even during that war. Like he had a reputation for being a good, really good with the military even before the Revolutionary War started. So that by itself is an interesting story.
But like I said earlier, war is a bloody thing.
That's kind of what I was getting at whenever I mentioned that before, because I mean, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't really take into consideration when it comes to the Revolutionary War. It was very brutal, and they didn't fight according to any kind of rules of war. That was never.
No, especially when they were fighting for protecting their home and their families.
There was no such thing as Geneva Conventions back then.
No, I know, but they just didn't want to. They just didn't like the idea of anyone coming up and forcing whatever they want to force onto them.
Well, that was that was the way it was. People,
I know.
like you're talking like everybody got sick and tired of it and went to war and fought against them. That's not the truth. It was actually the opposite. Like it was people being forced into servitude and doing things that they didn't want to do, and if they didn't want to do it, then they got put to death. Okay, and then this is where people revolted, and people in France did the same thing. And then the truth of the matter is like our revolution isn't really that actually unique, because almost every single country in Europe freaking revolted against their country, the empirical governments, I guess you could say, the kingdoms. Like there was only like a handful of them that didn't freaking actually win their constitutional rights. There's only a few of them.
I don't know. The argument
like
constitutional way to say evolving, and it wasn't. It wasn't that you had the Civil War and hey presto, straight after the Civil War you've got constitutional rights. There's nothing like that.
Well, no,
Well, me and you were talking about John Locke before, okay? And a lot of people don't understand what actually took place. Like John Locke started a movement where all of this took place. He was actually the grandfather of the constitutional governments. Like almost every single country in Europe freaking wanted a constitutional government and revolted against their rulers. Not just France, not just us, not just England. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, England was the first one to do it, I believe.
Well, yeah, arguably that wasn't a big constitution. That was just solely based upon taxes. So we can continue wars with Spain and France.
I thought that England was just not that, but they were getting fed up about
they actually had two revolutionary wars, and I believe that John Locke was in exile from England because of his belief in constitutional government. And while you guys were having your second revolutionary war, he was in exile, and whenever the second Revolutionary War was finished, that's when he returned back to England, I believe.
I would have checked the actual dates on that, but that sounds about right.
Because I know they had a reference to the fact that, like, when he was in exile, he would make sure that he never stayed in one place too long because he was afraid that the royals had people coming after him to kill him.
Well, during that time, I'm not sure. The president, or before he became president, was going back and forth from the U.S. to the UN.
Europe. Now you're, I know what
Oh,
you're talking
man.
about. Now Hamilton, and that was before he was president, and he kept going back and forth to Europe because he wanted to create to create a Bank of America, and first and second Bank of America, and that's something that we were talking about the other day with like the Federal Reserve and stuff like that.
Yeah. We were talking about this yesterday.
Hmm. And he ended up becoming, I think, the second or the third president. I don't know which one after George Washington.
Washington, Edison. Sorry, sorry. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Hanson, blah, 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 blah,
Hamilton?
blah, 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 Hamilton.
So he was never.
No.
I always figured he was president. I was almost sure. Wait,
I know if the one before he became president, he was going over there that you.
oh wait. No, he wouldn't have
tried to come up with money.
No, he was actually the one that married a black woman, and he resettled her to Europe. And
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, so that makes sense because he actually got married to her and he resettled probably. I don't know. I'm gonna check into that too. I'm kind of sliding on my history when it comes to this New Age stuff.
I thought that U.S. citizens were taught the names of every single president as soon as they got into school.
That's just a load of crap. I don't know who told you that, dude.
I thought they were being ingrained into
But,
you.
yeah,
I think I just heard something on some show this morning that the history literacy of the American citizens is at a whole time low. People graduating out of high school can't name all 52 states.
To be honest, me and Mark actually even had a conversation about that the other day. They were talking about that when it comes to, what was it? Was it up in Scandinavia?
mm-hmm.
Mark, remember that we were talking about it? They were talking. It had to do.
Colleges.
Mm-hmm. It had to do with colleges and stuff. Like this is taking place all over the world.
It's correct, man. High school students in Canada totally got the 12 provinces down pat.
Okay. I know there's arguments about decline in education systems over the last 40 years within the Western world, throughout the Western world, should I say?
Well, I blame it on incursive. Like you guys got rid of incursive, and
No, I blame it on the so-called long march with the institution.
Didn't they have a thing that when you vote, if you did not know how to read, that during that time,
like when you pass the citizenship test.
no, even before that. Oh, yeah.
Now
do you even have that kind of things down there?
He's talking about the Jim Crow stuff. They had it set up to where you had to know how to read, and you had to be able to understand. You had to understand how to read and stuff like that. If you couldn't read, you couldn't vote. Basically, it was
rich or poor.
Yeah, well,
Again, only educated people. Well, Jim Crow.
How are you going to be able to vote if you can't read, man?
Well,
The
it's
names on the voting card.
President Jackson was the first one to start cracking down on a lot of that stuff. Before that, people were being held back from voting because they were too poor. And they felt that if they allowed poor people to vote, they would be easily influenced by rich people. So that, a rich person could take money and pay them to freaking vote in their favor, or
Pay the poor man to vote in their favor, yeah.
things like that. That was a lot of the things that they really stood by. They thought that a poor man couldn't have like a moral compass and stuff. They're a lot of the stuff that they were preaching back then wasn't really all that great, like people make it out to be.
Yeah, actually, we should do a show on British watching Burroughs and William Pitts the Younger. Talking about such things.
Mm-hmm.
It could be interesting.
No, like Robert, like I said, he had different stories and stuff that I was going to use on this, but freaking, I'm not.
We can.
No, I'm not.
Putting up the script right now.
No,
Yeah.
we're like at an hour and a half, dude. Like, you know, I made like 4 freaking short stories and shit, and they have absolutely nothing to do with what we were talking about.
You can still go back to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Diverge from script for a little bit and now go back.
Now, what I can do is I can add in like song drops, I guess you could call it, like little spots into the edited version to where where people can listen to them.
Segments, yeah.
Because they were good stories. It was just Robert, you know, you guys know Robert by now. Robert's Robert. Dude drives me nuts. I call him.
Let me ask you guys this. Does the Independence Day do anything to help? Like the fact that you're celebrating 4th of July for one day at least? Does the country forget about their differences, come together as a united country? Liberals or Democrats and Republicans and all?
I think you are
not really.
being very sort of
Overly optimistic?
yeah, very optimistic there.
Now, a lot of people do like watching fireworks. Okay, and like I do have to say that they do want to come out. I think it's more superficial now than it actually is anything else. Like they don't really care about the country, it seems. There are people who do things that are patriotic and they do think that way. Don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of them are just doing it because they're superficial. Like on the 4th of July, you watch fireworks, you do a
Eat hot
barbecue,
dogs.
you know. But a lot of them, they just
Eat
don't.
Texas barbecue. I just saw a video earlier today.
You know,
The Texas ribs or whatever they have down there, they look so good.
and see,
What is the traditional 4th of July dinner meal? Main meal?
hot dogs,
Sorry,
hot dogs.
And Texas barbecue.
hot dogs. Okay.
Yeah, Texas the big Texas bread.
Nobody
Spread
has
out
like
Texas-
actually used like an
rib,
actual.
pull up the bones ribs.
Mhm. Like nobody's actually like Thanksgiving has turkey, you know what I mean, and Christmas has ham, or what, you know, depending. But like nobody's actually said like this is 4th of July food, you know what I mean, other than barbecue. And like there's some people that do freaking barbecue hot wings. There's some people who they'll do freaking sausages and hamburgers.
Well, it makes sense. It's it's summer. Everybody wants to go
Yeah,
out
but like
for
New Year's.
Texas does chili. A lot of the Texans are big on
yeah.
that. They're big on their chili. So they'll have like chili cook-offs, things of that nature.
I was surprised how that Ireland.
Let me send you this video I watched earlier and tell me if you have had it before. It's on YouTube. I
But
think
also-
it's safe to. It's all about food. It's not politically motivated, so I think pretty safe for you to watch.
Now
Uh,
the
I'm
thing.
not sure if it's safe to watch because of YouTube rules.
Mhm. No, the thing,
If it's under 2.5 minutes, then maybe.
the thing that with Texas though is like I'm gonna do another search here in a second, but I think that it actually I don't think it actually has anything to do with our freaking revolution. Like I don't think that they're even a part of the 4th of July, to be honest with you.
No.
They're I don't think that they were even around when the Revolutionary War started, were they?
No, Texas was an island.
Yeah, like they don't even have a right to they just need to sit there and shut up, man. Let me see if I can find the screen share thing.
Texas during some.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, I can probably pull that up real quick. Give me a second.
Today, I will try Texas barbecue for the first time as...
Hold on a minute. Let me, I'm working it out in my head. I'm getting there. Be patient. There we go. Okay. You guys see that?
See what?
Oh, no, I have
Yeah. Gotcha. I was just looking under. Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
Let me.
I see it.
Let me get into the settings too. I got to make it to where it actually people can see my account, which is annoying because if I don't do that, then there we go. So
You're trying to show on the stream.
yeah, I'm gonna do it. So let me go.
the German. This is a real American experience. You have the shatter glass, a bullet hole. Yeah. This is barbecue for the first time as a German. This is a real American experience. You have the shatter glass, a bullet hole, yeah? So the beans have meat in it too? Pork and beef? This is a kinky country, I like it. Okay, it's been 25 seconds. We already have like 25
kinky country.
25 seconds and it's gonna take 2 years off.
Oh my god, look at this. I think this is the beverage that makes the frogs gay in America. Okay, holy shit. If I finish this, I'm gonna be real American. This is a beef rib. What happened to the beef?
German.
First step,
I
you
think
dislocate your
he's
jaw like a
American
snake.
with taking
Yeah.
German accent.
Very salty. With the flavor, how is that possible? It's so juicy, it melts in my mouth. I joke a lot about American food. This is one of the best things I've ever had. Americans, why don't you start with that? That's the best thing America has to offer, I think. So this is the brisket. It's hard to grab because it's falling apart faster than democracy in America. It's a jokey joke, yeah. I love America, okay. As a German, the highest compliment I would say, not bad. Nicht schlecht, yeah? This is one of the sides, cream corn. It's more like corn cream because it actually has more cream than corn. Yo, that shit's good. It's very sweet. It tastes like a dessert mixed with like German horse semen. I love it. Now here we have this mac and cheese. Yo, the mac and cheese is just more powerful in this house. As a German, I'm a bit of a sausage expert, yeah? I've been to a lot of Wiener circles in my life, yeah? Not the restaurant. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, but this is some of the best sausage I've had. This one is so smoky. This is cornbread. Americans find a way to put corn in everything. They put corn in the cream, they put corn in bread, and in the vaccines also. Corn's everywhere. It balances out the smokiness because it's a little bit sweet. Why has nobody told me about this? Nobody talks about Texas barbecue. Germans don't know about this. We think about American food, we think about burgers and pizza and Mexican food. This is real American food, man. America should be proud of this. Not bad.
It's a good video to play to honor America on Independence Day.
I think somebody needs to teach him good etiquette.
No, he's German. He's German.
He is so he that you know that pissed Mark off, dude. Like the one thing you don't do is say nice things about American food. Like that's
No, it wasn't the subject of the American food. There was just these table manners.
He's German. That's their manner, I think.
Well, I mean,
Did you notice how amazing he seems to like the food, and yet he said it's okay.
I just laughed at his sausage comment. Yeah.
Horse semen. What about that?
Well, I mean, when it comes to Mark, you always got to take it back to the basics. Okay, Mark is always against American food. That's just point blank. Anybody who says good stuff about American food is the enemy.
Let me just think. Good American food.
And I will stand by what I said too. Like Texas food does not count.
Good US food. Okay. Good US food.
Do you mean like they're out of the ordinary American?
No, like for like the 4th of July, like they have nothing to do with the 4th of July. So like when it comes to Texas food, that doesn't apply. Now if you go and you look at stuff that you should eat for the 4th of July, it should be something.
They should be if that's how foreigners.
Well, what do people eat in Massachusetts? What do people eat in freaking Georgia? What do people eat in freaking North Carolina? You know what I'm saying? South Carolina.
No, it's just not world famous. I mean, the Texas.
No, South Carolina, dude. Hold on now.
Oh yes, you're right. There's some good
regional differences. Yeah.
You know, even Florida, like you can't be talking Florida food on the 4th of July. That Florida wasn't.
What's Florida got? Nothing.
Right. Like Florida wasn't even a state until like the 1900s, dude.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Everybody's like, whatever, dude. I'm like, whatever. You know, respect the freaking dates. It's like, now, if you ask me what I think would be the perfect thing when it comes to
Independence Day food, yeah. What is it?
Independence Day, it would be freaking cow.
Steak, you mean?
Just cow.
Right.
What do you mean? You eat a cow?
Yeah.
Just a cow.
Just a cow, dude.
Live walking cow.
Eat a cow.
Day, I could eat a cow.
Well, the best one to get is the one that was here when we first came here. They came back from the extinction. The
Corn.
buffalo.
Corn.
Green corn?
Corn. Corn would be a good one. Fish, because people.
So ordinary. I could eat corn here.
Well, corn in America is very important because, like, when the colonials landed, okay, their first winter here was very harsh and cold, so they had to freaking learn how to grow crops properly here in the United States. And that's when the Indians taught them how to freaking grow corn. They told them to take a fish and put it down in the ground and let it freaking decompose with the seed, so that it could nourish it and make it grow good. So that was kind of like one of the first beginning stories that came out of all that. So I would say corn and maybe some fish.
Okay. Texas was a state, was part of the original Confederacy. Okay, so.
Well, that's the Civil War. We're talking about the Revolutionary War. We actually got them after they declared their independence from Mexico. They actually they would have been, it would have been smart for them to just stay as a country on their own, but they decided to join the United States. And that's kind of what I was telling Naroki when it comes to Ottawa and British Columbia. Like they're all talking about splitting up from Canada.
Alberta.
You know, and I'm like, dude, hold up. You know, they keep talking about being the 51st state. I'm like, don't do that. Become your own country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's just like Quebec.
Yeah. You know.
It's like right after this. Well, everybody during the independence and all that, didn't they have after the thing of all? Oh well, I forgot. The two different things. The thing about where they set it up to where states can't, we call it, leave the U.S.
Succeed. Yeah.
Yeah,
We were talking about this last night. You brought it up last
during,
night.
and it was after the war they set it up about that. I forget what part. Well, yeah, it wasn't from here, but well, with all that going on, where citizens were being shanghaied onto ships of and all that, and they passed that law there in the U.S. about that because they were having problems with other ships firing on to the U.S. ships and all that, and they passed that. What Roger said, I forget what he calls it, but they had to make up laws about that, about for all the other countries not to able to do raid other ships of the U.S. or
Wait, hold up.
kidnap people.
You're talking about well, the thing about seceding from the Union, that's the Emancipation
Yeah,
Declaration.
I forgot. Two different things.
Yeah, actually, we were talking about this on Thursday, weren't we?
Mhm.
And we were been into the subject at the time was all about technology and so-called artificial intelligence, and they made a link between that and what's that computer game I mentioned, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, the other one that you were talking about, that one, what was it that you were talking about?
Shanghai people.
Oh, it was there was a battle that had taken place, and see what happened. What led up to the War of 1812 was actually the fact that even though we had won the Revolutionary War, England didn't want to recognize that a lot of the people that were in the Navy were American citizens because they were conscripted into the English Navy. So what they would do is they would freaking board American ships and then freaking pull the sailors off of the American ships and put them in English prisons.
Technically, were they American citizens? Technically, weren't they still British citizens at the time?
Well, see, this is where a lot of people disagree with me on this, but this goes back to the whole purpose for the Bill of Rights. Okay, there is a difference between the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and a lot of these people disagree with where I come from on this. But like, whenever the Constitution was put together, it was done by the Constitutional Convention in secrecy. Okay. And there was a group that was called the Anti-Federalists who didn't agree with the Constitution the way it was written. They said that they wanted a Bill of Rights in order for them to sign that Constitution, and a lot of them walked out. Now, George Mason stayed within the Constitutional Convention, but he refused to sign. And the reason for that was because they did not want to give the rights to citizens that protects them from like the First Amendment, what we were just talking about. They also didn't agree with the Bill of Rights. You know what I'm saying? Like protecting people's property from being raided by and taken over by the government. You know, private property laws.
Okay, there's a big argument there, isn't there, in relation to if the US Bill of Rights was actually based upon the English Bill of Rights of 1860.
That's the federal. That was the Federalists. That was their argument. They said that they didn't want to have any Bill of Rights because they didn't want people to think that that was the only rights they had, because that's what England's Bill of Rights was all about. Like, you guys don't have like just the with us we have our rights are we have we have the rights of a person who's completely free according to our consciousness is what the term is, okay? That means that as long as I know what I'm doing is right and I'm not breaking the law, I'm not doing anything wrong, then I'm a free man. Nobody has the right to tell me anything that I need to do. Okay? And that's according to my constitutional rights. All right?
Again, when you look at it from the perspective of that time, we're talking about free men. We're talking about landowners.
Right.
We aren't talking about any
Right.
US
But see,
citizen.
this is just talking about what their rights were. Okay, that's what the Federalists believe. They believe that freaking that's what that your rights were, and that if you wrote a Bill of Rights, then that would give people the false impression that those were the only rights you had. Like all of these amendments, if you listen to people talk today, they think that if it's not an amendment or if it's not in the Constitution, then you don't have those rights, and that's not what the United States Constitution says.
Actually, I think it was something like, could have been Jacob's recently. Actually, I don't think it was, but it was somebody talking about that there is an advantage in how Britain has set up its constitution compared to the US.
That's poppycock.
Yeah, we are much more flexible.
That you know what that means?
If something happens, we can easily.
Not you, your country can do it. Okay, that means that means that your government or your state, however you like to say, that means they can do it, and they don't need your
Yeah, but
permission.
it still has to go through the sort of entire legislative process.
They can change your constitution at a whim, dude.
Yeah, but it still has to go through a legislative process.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of process?
The standard House of Westminster, Palace of Westminster, House of Commons, House of Lords. And then
If you want a real constitution that works, it needs to be codified. Okay, it needs to be codified in law, and with our constitution,
the argument was made at it when I was watching this video was that the codification makes this less flexible, the constitution less flexible. Therefore, if something does happen, in which the constitution has to change, there's that many more barriers.
Well, see, barriers are good, though. You got to understand that barriers are good because the thing of it is,
they can also be bad. They can depend on the circumstance. They can always situation can also be bad.
We have what you call an Article 5 convention, okay, which if we wanted to change something, we can automatically do, or we can try to do an Article 5 convention. So we can make changes, but the thing of it is there's a process that goes with that, and the Constitution is codified so that freaking people don't get to freaking come in today and say we want this, and then 15, 20 years from now come in and say, well, we don't like that, we're going to take that out and change it. See, you do that, then you have countries like France, who's had well over 15 constitutions since their revolution. You know what I mean? I can understand 2, maybe 3 of them taking place because of the bad things that's happened between then and now. But 15, come on, dude. I mean, that's just way too much.
Yeah, but if you look at the Constitution, in what way? I wonder about it myself about the Constitution, because in such a way you can phrase things like they go through Congress do. They pick certain words for what as they say, and when they put it down on paper, to where the word, the meaning of the word, and the way they want that document to work for them, and how it's supposed to work, and that's the problem that they need
Yeah.
to be watching out when it comes to that situation because they're going by the meaning of the word.
You know, they're changing the meanings of the words. Like
Yeah.
language jargon, political jargon is way different than regular English. What we talk about right now. Okay, like you go in and you listen, or you just go and you read like anything that is supposed to be like an amendment, or over in England, what do they call that, or reform. Go read a reform document. Okay, and I guarantee you'll find out very quickly that the language is completely different. It's like when I said the word consent, okay, or my conscience. Your conscience is completely different than what you think it is, okay? And consent, okay, people don't understand what consent laws are. You know.
Also, there's the point, as we've seen with fairly recent legislation, both in the US and Britain and further afield. These laws are pieces of legislation are written in such a way that the wording should be considered as being fairly vague.
Yeah. That's what I'm referring to, and it's the same thing because, like with other things, if people don't watch out, because to me, I noticed when they pop up with these documents for the way things are, and they point blank say that before it goes in, they have to make sure that the wording's right, the language, and all that is perfectly the way they do before they get sent in to Congress or wherever it has to be. But then by them doing that, people need to stop and think that, okay, we need to make sure that it's not a double-edged sword there. You know, that whatever they put down on paper, it doesn't come back and to bite everyone later on. It affects them in a certain way. It's like 3 days before independence started. Roger, I forget his name, but Roger told me about his name in England. He went and was going to go to England to set up a thing of be part of what you call that, the one of the UK like what Canada is. I forget what you call it, Roger. That guy from the U.S. went to Canada to the UN to be part of their where there's the U.S. is still U.S. but they're part of their I forget what they call it.
You're talking about the what was that called again? It was the freaking Versailles. Whenever they were wanting to come up, it was before the UN.
League of Nations.
The League of Nations. What's his face? Oh God, I forgot his name. He Cleveland, maybe? No. He was the president of the United States, and he was trying to push the United States into wanting to join the League of Nations. Well, he overstepped his power. He promised Europe that the United States was going to join, and he did that publicly. And then by the time he got to the United States, he quickly found out that that was overstepping his powers because Congress had to okay that. And what happened was he ended up traveling around the country trying to push for people to join the League of Nations, and nobody wanted to do it after he had done that. So
Wasn't there
now hold on. Now, Thomas Paine, you were talking about him. Now, Thomas Paine, he actually faced several legal troubles in both Great Britain and France during his life. Okay, he was the author of the Common Sense the book Common Sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah, the pamphlets, yeah.
he went from being a celebrated revolutionary hero to a hunted outlaw in Britain and a death row prisoner in Paris.
Right.
Britain declares him an outlaw in 1792, as a matter of fact. Now, after the American Revolution, Paine returned to Europe and published Rights of Man in 1799, a fierce defense of the French Revolution that openly advocated for overthrowing monarchies. Now, the British government, terrified that his radical ideas would spark a revolution in England, charged him with sedition, libel, and treason. Now, before authorities could arrest him, a tip-off allowed Paine to flee across to the English Channel to France. In his absence, a British court found him guilty, banned his books, and officially declared him an outlaw. When Paine arrived in Paris, he was treated as a hero and even given honorary citizenship at a seat in the new French revolutionary government. However, the revolution quickly grew incredibly bloody and radical under Jacobins. Now, Paine was deeply opposed to the death penalty when the radicals voted to send King Louis VI to the guillotine. Paine openly voted against the execution, arguing that the king should be exiled to America instead. The humanitarian stance painted a target on his back. In December of 1793, the radical leader Maximilian Robespierre ordered Paine arrested for treason. He was thrown into the notorious Luxembourg prison in Paris for nearly a year. Paine came within hours of losing his head to the guillotine. Prisoner guards used to walk through the corridors at night, marking a chalk cross on the doors of the prisoners scheduled for execution the next morning. When they came to Paine's cell, his door happened to be wide open because he was receiving medical visitors. The guard hastily chalked the cross on the inside of the open door. Later that night, when the door was closed, the executioner walked past his cell because the chalk mark was hidden on the inside. Days later, Robespierre fell from power, the reign of terror ended, and Paine's life was spared. So there you go.
Yeah, I was wondering, was this before or after what I'm about to ask? Is that they were people that was asking, wasn't it President Lincoln about him? Why don't he be as king? And he said no. He wanted to keep it to where people can vote for
No,
every.
that was George Washington. They wanted,
Yeah.
and that I'm kind of suspicious about that too because they did the same thing with Cromwell. I'm thinking.
Yeah. I was just thinking that it is a bit I question that because the story is so similar to Cornwall.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've heard that too, but I mean, you just have to use your common sense to that. Like all of us, that's that whole patriotic thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
that's why I was asking.
Like the cherry tree. You know that George Washington was so honest, dude, that he cut down his mother's cherry tree, and then later on went to his mother and said, "Mother, I am sorry. I chopped down your cherry tree." And his mother forgave him because of his honesty. He was that honest. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Well, it sounds a lot like propaganda with me, but
What do you think, Tan? Do you think that's true or not?
I kind of tuned out after a while.
Too much.
I did. I knew that I wanted to check out Pain though, because the thing of it is that it's very interesting. Like Pain is related to the freaking Liberty Tree. Is that what you said?
yeah. I didn't clock Pain and the French Revolution until after you mentioned that, and I should have thought about that beforehand.
Well, who was the one that at one time was talking about being part like a few days before it started, the War of Independence? Someone was saying that.
Oh, that was me. No, that was John Jay. No, I have no respect for John Jay. He's the one who founded the Department of Justice.
Oh, okay.
He was he's one of the freaking elitists that people usually refer to when it comes to the founding fathers and landowners, like Mark's talking about. Like this guy was just 100 complete involved in just what the rich landowners were going to benefit from everything. Okay. Now, I always tell people all the time, if you think Washington is where the power is, then you need to think again, because the real power is actually in New York City. Okay, New York, period. That's always been where it was, and John Jay is a good example of that. Now, I mentioned it to you earlier where he was actually making, he was writing documentation up and doing negotiations to where he could actually settle a lot of the issues that the colonials had when it came to England within a matter of days. But the revolution had started like just before it happened, so he ended up backing away from that. But he actually wanted to resolve it without a war, and he wanted the United States to stay as a colony. But whenever the revolution broke out, he finally fell in line and decided that he was going to join with the revolutionaries and do the right thing. Until, of course, he decided to create the Department of Justice, which we can talk about at another time because we're supposed to be celebrating the United States. But yeah, I have a really harsh opinion of John Jay. It's very, very so he's one of those people that really shouldn't have had power, because we had vultures, don't you know what I mean? We had people in the beginning that were like Hamilton. He was one of them. So was freaking John Jay. John Jay and Hamilton, they wanted to do things that the rest of the country didn't want. Like freaking they didn't want a freaking Bank of America, and that's what Hamilton wanted. You know, and the Department of Justice was set up to where it separated the federal government from the freaking state government, and the individual's rights became more distant from Washington or from the federal government. You know what I mean?
When did someone was saying too? When was this the when you vote? I forget what the way they do today. When did that? What century was that they started doing that? Electoral votes.
Say that again.
Electoral votes. I was wondering when was it that they started to put that into government, you know.
The electoral.
Well, we could go back to something like I don't know, Greece, ancient Greece.
The electorate is what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something that that I've never really pulled up that would probably have been right during the time of the Great or the New Deal. I can probably check it out for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Find out.
So they were talking about that, and for as long as, and I'm like, okay, they don't really give a specific time. They didn't. I just knew it was a long period of when they started doing it, and if so, um, and that thing of because how did it change politics more or less? Went from before and after, because you always heard that there's only one votes, and that, as far as I knew, is it didn't start until recently, the electoral votes.
Okay, so the actual term is the electoral college, and believe it or not, it was actually all the way back in 1788. The United States started using the electoral voting system in 1788 during the first presidential election, which concluded in 1789. The framework for the Electoral College was officially established when the U.S. Constitution was signed on September 17, 1787, and it went into effect for the election that chose George Washington as the first president. Now, the very first election was 1788 to 1789. Electors were chosen by the state in late 1788, and they cast their official ballots on February the 4th, 1789. Now, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're really saying that right. Like election, maybe, but that's the Electoral College. Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's really weird.
Came up with that.
Let me see. I thought it said the Electoral College. Okay, the United States began using the Electoral College system during the nation's inaugural presidency election between 1788 and 1789. So I guess, yeah, that would be from the time in the beginning they started using the Electoral College. That's pretty bad. I thought there would be a little hope left for the United States if it was actually implemented afterwards. But I mean, if it was that way from the beginning, that's pretty crappy. Because that's pretty. From what I've learned about it, it's a pretty crappy setup. It's like a popularity contest.
Yeah. But arguably, your entire political system is a popularity contest.
Look who's talking. Look who's talking. Look who's talking.
I've made this argument about well, you could say democracy is even for that time. I've made this argument about voting for a politician rather than a party.
Well, that when you vote for a party, you're actually that's a That's actually is a popularity contest. I mean, like at least an individual is an individual.
Okay.
So if you're a part of a clique,
say-
start clicking is what that's all
Okay,
about.
okay. To use my original argument, it's more of a cult of celebrity contest.
Cult of
You assess them as.
that's there's actually a more what is it, cult of personality is what they refer to it as.
Yeah.
Cult.
Celebrity personality, whatever.
Mhm.
There's some differences.
Well, I mean, it's a really good term, and that really does fit even more when you say it like a cult of personality. It really fits the definition. So
And what happened during the time in New York?
you're muted, Robert.
You can actually hear him pretty well. Actually, because of distance between you two.
Well, it was 17. Let me. 1775 in New York. I was wondering what was that like during that time? What was that about?
Well, I mean, that time has passed, Robert. I'm like,
okay.
we're hold up, we've already put like 2 hours into this thing, man. We need to close it up. This is what happens when you don't do the topics like you wanted to do. So I'm ready to go to sleep. Like I made like entire short stories for you.
Well,
all
yeah,
that
you
stuff.
can still say that.
No, I mean, it's over, dude. you it's like I'm not doing that stuff. I'll make a blog for you. And then
make a blog for him.
and I've already got. I
I
already set up a spoken word thing where it sounds all patriotic and everything in a voice where it says the story. I did 4 of them for you, so I can have that posted up for you too. So you'll have that.
I was wondering, when did they have taps? When was it that taps? You know, when someone would pass away during the 1800s. Like they were when during
During the funerals, is that what
Yeah.
that's what they did with the military people back.
Yeah.
They still do it now too.
yeah, but I was wondering when was it that
I'm-
was.
I'm gonna have to ask you to just kind of end this, dude. I'm done. Yeah, I'm like I'm really ready to just. I'm tired, man. Like we've gone like 2 hours, dude.
Yeah. You.
Hey, this is Robert's show.
That's what
He
I'm
wants to
saying.
go
It's like
on, let him go on.
I'm just gonna back out, man, because
We're still
done.
early.
It's like two,
Not,
dude.
it's not midnight our times yet.
I know. It's 1:45 a.m.
He's trying to kick a dead horse, is what it is. He spent 2 hours like talking about all this stuff. We've already covered tons of stuff, and now it's like he was wanting to start talking about more stuff. And it's like I'm done. I'm finished.
According to the clock here, it's almost coming up to 3 hours.
Besides that, like the fireworks are supposed to start here before long too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Go enjoy the fireworks.
I usually just sit out back and listen to them. Hopefully they're not ruined because of the rain. 90 degrees outside, mind you, when it started. Like, when does it ever rain at 90 degrees in the day? That's like
I
30.
don't know.
Go ahead.
Just before he started, yeah, me and Albert was talking about the weather. Yeah, he said that there was some rain there or something.
Oh yeah, because I was saying because before it was real loud. You can hear it coming down real hard,
Mm-hmm.
and
This was 90 degrees, mind you, too, and that would be like 30 something degrees for you.
Yeah, about 30. Yes, 32, 33.
I was thinking like maybe about 33 degrees. Because Dan, you don't have Fahrenheit either, do you? You guys-
Celsius.
You guys do Celsius.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just insane. It's like any other day you'd be you'd be burning up from the heat, and then all of a sudden on 4th of July, with it even hot, it's going to rain just to ruin the fireworks. That's 4th of July for you, just so you know. That's what 4th of July is now. And then I've heard people say, "Well, we're going to do it another day." Like, are you serious? Like, that's what I was saying. It's more trendy than it is anything else. It's not even about patriotism. They just like, we'll do it another day. Kind of like trick or treat, but on a different day.
well, one year
Isn't that missing the point? It's like saying, we'll celebrate Christmas Day on August the 5th.
Yeah. Oh, they're getting to that point now too. They're like, Christmas is every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Now, me personally, if I freaking found a person who thought that way, that said Christmas is every day, okay, and they celebrated Christmas every day, I would have issues with that. I would think that they might have like mental illnesses or something.
Oh, I'm just thinking Paul Santa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you imagine somebody who has a Christmas tree up all year long? And they've got,
I can. Yes, I can.
Yeah, I can.
Christmas lights everywhere, and like every day they come in with a new present. You know what I mean? Like literally.
well, it's like a Santa Claus. I forget where it's at, but they actually got a place where it's Christmas all year until
Up
Christmas
here.
time.
Up there's a little bit north up here. There's a Santa's village.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's called the North Pole. Don't
No,
try to hide
right
it.
there.
I like
No.
this shit. You ain't
Yeah,
fooling me, dude. I know Santa's up there. That's freaking the North Pole. Don't be kidding me. Santa's hideout.
I
Santa's
ain't saying
village.
nothing more. I just tell you there's a Santa village up here.
Yeah, it's called the North Pole, buddy.
Well, that and the post office up there too. They actually got people that sent mail up there because of the area code, and they send it there, and they send it back because of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
They take it out and show the kids that.
Yeah, the postal code HOHOHO is the Canadian postal code.
Yeah.
Ho ho ho.
Yeah.
So I'm done, Robert. You wanna end the show?
Yep. And well, for every outlet, everyone that's on this show, tell them how you can contact them. Okay. And Edward, and we'll start with Roger Hanson, and then Lord Edworthy,
And then Tan Hunter.
and as well.
Okay, so you want me to go first?
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Okay, so if you guys want to find me, you can find me at Roger_Hanson on minds.com. You can also find me on X, Roger Hanson at ROGLOL1973. I am also on Elements Matrix at Roger's Hangout. You can find me on there. and I'm streaming all over the place, so you can find me as well on the YouTube, Rumble, Kick, all the normal places. So that's all I got.
Okay, me. Yeah, just really on minds.com under the username Midworthy.
And from me is Roger and Mark. You can find me on minds.com also T2 Trans at minds.com. But also I've started setting up a new home on primo.net. You can find me on primo.net. It's basically a Nostr client.
Okay.
All right.
You done, Robert? You need
Well, for everyone that likes and wants to ask questions, to respond, and whoever comes up with, well, the best, whatever comes up, let them ask them and they respond to you. Best way I could say. But you have everyone. This is Robert. 4th of July, 2026. U.S. 4th of July Independence birthday. Thank you.
Happy Independence Day.